Hello everyone, Reaper Evolved here and welcome to Dream. This is, well, I don't really know what to call it actually. Is it an extension or re-review? Does that make sense? I don't know. That thing. Yeah, so basically what happened is I reviewed this game some time ago now. And I was really disappointed with it. And it had gone through the Steam Early Access and I felt that they had released too early, and doing so when going through Early Access is less forgivable than when it normally happens. Don't get me wrong, I think these days the day one patch is pretty much a thing, at least it has up until recently. The new refund system might reduce that practice significantly if publishers and developers are going to start losing money because people aren't happy with the game on launch. It might help reduce that significantly, which would be a good thing, I think, in my book. But anyway, that's besides the point. So yeah, I felt I could kind of see where the game was going. I'm just the mic here, and you know, didn't really want to be too hard on it. So I kind of thought to myself, you know what, I'll stop back and see what has changed. So the 1.2 version has released just yesterday. Coincidentally, actually, I didn't realise. I actually had it uninstalled, and that might give you an indication of how this is going to go. Yeah. So one thing I did notice is the in some of the menus the music doesn't play. I don't really know why that is. It's an annoyance. The music is quite nice, so I don't really see why that is the case. There's now a few more resolution factors, although that one's a bit strange to me, but anyway, which is nice. One of the things I didn't like and I thought was a real pain, let me just hit back so it doesn't save something by accident, is say for example I wanted bloom. I can hit left or right, but if I hit left it goes down to save immediately. Same thing if I go up to say shadows, it'll go down to medium and then straight down to save. That's a bit of an annoyance for me, and I thought it would be worth mentioning. They have fixed the rebinding, and rebinding now properly works. Unfortunately, from what I can tell, and I have had a little bit of a mess about with it prior to this recording, is that it has affected the gamepad bindings a little bit. So let's jump in the game and I'll explain a little bit about that. Yes, I'm fully aware that the game does specify that it is only partially controller compatible. However, I have noticed that there's a number of different things that controllers that no longer seem to be there. So this was one of the first things I noticed was the VSync problem has been fixed. There was quite severe tearing and you could actually see lines whenever you would move up and down, so apologies if that makes you a little bit disoriented. I'm just trying to demonstrate that. So in-game product placement, I wasn't impressed with that. I personally don't like it. I don't see any point whatsoever to having it. Yeah, don't get me wrong, if you want to make something that kind of looks like it, I think I'm okay with that, but it's a little bit in your face and on the nose. So let's jump into the dream world.
Let's see what sleep shows me tonight.
So one of the things I mentioned in my review is the normalization issues that they seem to have. That appears to now have been corrected, as I've kind of jumped around a few levels and your character does, or Hard as his name is, does appear to now voice himself a little bit better instead of whispering quite a lot. So that's good, because that was, I mean, for this game it's all about Hard and all about how he self-narrates stuff, and you know, your attachment to the character is what made the game for me back when I played it back in alpha. Um, Whenever they were, I think they give away the first level for people to have a little play about with.
Always that same dream.
So you can see I've collected a few different items. I haven't collected them all, but I've went through all three different zones. Um, so I just want to show you real quick
This one's new.
this one. So one of my biggest disappointments was, is it a disappointment? Or confusion. One of the things, yeah, one of the things that confused me and irritated me, I think, was having levels that don't
So on reception. Typical.
do anything and serve no purpose. I don't know how many other games I've played that do that, but I would have liked to have thought that if I played another game.
Hello? Anyone here?
I don't really want to talk over him. By the way, I will be lowering the game volume post-production, or yeah. So if you don't hear him and think he's still inaudible, he is, believe me. It's just because I lower the volume. May as well let you know that. Through here. Oh yeah, don't have crouch anymore. Have to use the keyboard. Yeah, don't know about that one. Also, you can't select your inventory from the gamepad anymore. You have to use the mouse wheel. Let's just go straight to hand.
I'm not going to claim I'm a dab hand with a spray can, but whoever drew these really needs to work on their form.
What I will say about the voice is it's still, for me, quite low. It is a lot more audible, don't get me wrong, but I would like it to be a little bit louder. In fact, I wouldn't even mind having to turn it down. So let's go into this one. This should be, if memory serves, the roller coaster level. Yeah, it is. Excuse me. So this was one of the levels that really annoyed me and just drove me nuts, to be honest, because as you can see, the lighting is a little bit terrible. Now this level in particular, when it was launched, had a note up in the top left hand corner that said lighting needs to be rebuilt. Personally, I wouldn't have gone for this, but I'll explain why that is in a little moment, and why they require you to have to walk through that, I don't know either, you know. So yeah, you jump on the roller coaster, you go around, and you end up pretty much back where you started, or well, slightly over here, and that's it. Now, it's cool that there's a roller coaster in the game, but other than that, it's pointless because the lighting and stuff is really poor, and you don't really get to see an awful lot. There's some nice sights on it, but yeah, it serves no purpose, and that's it. That's all that this level is. And I understand that this is what they call a side dream, and not necessarily anything needs to happen that, you know, is groundbreaking or game changing. This is essentially like a side mission, for example, but I would still like to get something out of the level. You know, I can't think of any game that I have played where a side quest done nothing other than waste your time. Although I'm sure there's people gonna say that side quests are always a waste of time, but you know, that's a personal preference. That's up to the individual. So what was the other couple other things? So I really don't understand that level at all.
What's with all these pipes? I bet the plumbing in this place is a nightmare.
And I don't really want to go too far into these levels because I don't really want to ruin it too much, because it is a nice game. But what did annoy me is that level seems to be specifically designed for Oculus Rift. Now don't get me wrong, I don't mind having even developing a game with Oculus Rift in mind, and therefore having an Oculus Rift, if you're lucky enough, would, you know, make the game a little bit better. that's understandable because let's face it, VR is the way the world's going at the minute. But this is a very dangerous step in the direction of unless you own X, Y, or Z hardware, you don't get the same experience. Now, I am not saying things like graphics cards because that's common sense. If you have a lower end graphics card, you will not have the same experience. I'm talking about additional hardware. So, for example, if you don't have a gamepad, for example, you don't have the same experience. If you don't have Oculus Rift, you don't have the same experience.
Always that same dream.
It should be the same experience regardless of what control method you use, whether or not you have a monitor or Oculus Rift. It shouldn't matter. And it's very in your face whenever games like this have a level that seems to be specifically for that. The other one is the crazy stair level, which is really confusing, which I'm sure would be absolutely amazing in an Oculus Rift, but again, there's no point. There is no objective there. There's nothing to collect in there, and I don't mind even if a level is like even an in joke where it's kind of pointless, but it's like a ha ha ha, we made you waste time. That I don't even mind, but the fact it just sits there and does nothing other than, yes, you can visit all the side dreams to complete all of your objectives, to have all the side dreams done, and collect all. Well, I don't even know if there's items in the other ones. I think I've just missed quite a few, but other than that, it just seems a bit pointless. I would have liked to have had something to do in those different levels, but maybe that's just me. I don't know. So it kind of leads me down, and I can maybe go into ancient morality. Can I show you this? This is actually a nice level. It kind of leads me down to, would I then score the game differently now as opposed to back when it originally launched? And I can quite honestly say no. In fact, again, this is
This is more like
taking into consideration having previously played the game. I feel as if I don't have crouch on the gamepad anymore. I can't select my inventory anymore on the gamepad. I don't really understand what's happening there. I think it's maybe some kind of weird bug or some kind of thing that was introduced in the latest patch. I don't know. But the fact that yeah, I understand they've had an extra time to to maybe fix up and introduce a better control method and fix up the controller support. So really, I find that there is less excuse with regards to that, to have a gamepad be less be a to a lesser degree. Now I'm trying to think of if I never played this game, would it bother me? Yes, it would. Being able to have an access to inventory and being able to crouch are basic functionality that shouldn't matter. If you support controllers at all, you should be able to do that with any. And I use the Xbox controller, the Xbox 360 controller, which I think is the most common. So I really don't see what the excuse there is. And let's face it, folks, there is nothing stopping them adding in the ability to have customizable keys with regards to controllers or gamepads. I understand most games don't do that, but they've had this extra time to introduce that, and it's not there. But I mean, so that they've fixed the optimization slightly. Although and I can't access the menus, and the music is going to stop. Which, I mean, fellas, seriously, have the music play in your menus. One other small thing is that instead of having the menu selector bind to whatever control device and move with your mouse, for example, it moves separately with your gamepad and mouse. Not necessary, fellas. Yeah, language. I'm pretty sure that's not the language we had it in. They have said that, yeah, no, that's weird as well. So yeah, that doesn't seem to have done anything. And this is of course the infamous, well I call infamous, conveyor belt mission, which, well, puzzle, which I found completely tedious and pointless as well, which is something I pointed out in my review. It it doesn't serve a purpose there. Yeah, I didn't find it interesting. Granted, I understand that I don't have really a good mind for puzzles, but that shouldn't mean that I find the puzzle as tedious as I did, and I absolutely did. So anyway, yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to decide whether or not I would score it lower or not. Um, if I got it fresh, probably not. I probably would have scored it the same. But yeah, I mean, if I were to submit a review now as like an update review, I might actually score it slightly lower. Not much, maybe a half point or so. Because I mean, removing control from the player is unforgivable, to be honest. Now, don't get me wrong, the game, this is the developer's very first game, and there are only 3 people, so they're gonna have problems, and they're gonna, introduce things that we haven't, that we haven't really seen before, and we don't like. So I mean, that's, if I take that into consideration, that's not so bad, but yeah, good attempt, lads, but unfortunately you could have done with maybe a little bit more work before getting to this point. That's a bit weird. I don't know if that's a graphical bug or that's meant to be there or not, but anyway, yeah, that's about all I had to say about it, folks. Drop me a comment in the section below if there's anything you want me to answer, if there's something that you're maybe something you wanted to ask and you didn't see it in this video. Let me know if there's something you wanted to know about the game or whatever. I might be able to answer you. So please do that. So this has been a dream, folks. I have been Reaper Evolved, recording this of course for Press A to join. This is Reaper Evolved, out.